today by a lady called Colette O'Leary. She's a qualified and experienced wedding planner who's going to tell us her top tips for getting married and how you can plan your wedding to have the wedding of your dreams, in fact. Colette, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for asking me.
My pleasure. Tell me a little bit about weddings. Why are they so stressful, first of all?
I think when people decide to get married, it's a dream that they've had for a really long time. So for some people, planning such a big, huge event can be really, really stressful. But there are a couple of things that you need to do so that it's not so stressful.
What kind of things should the average couple do?
I think the most important thing is, first of all, to agree on a budget. And I think it's a lot of people tend, when they think about a budget, they don't put every single little thing, including the magazines that you buy, the makeup, every single thing should go into the budget. And really what you should do is plan a wedding that you can afford and stick with that budget. It's the most important thing because it's really stressful to enter into married life with a huge big credit card bill because you've had the wedding of your dreams. So that's really, really important.
Why do you think women are so focused on having this perfect wedding, and for men, the average guy is just like, you know what, let me just turn up on the day and I'll be happy? Why is that?
I think it's probably why men are from Mars and women are from Venus. It's a dream that most girls have. From when we're very small and we play with dolls and we play with princesses and we look at fairy tales. So that's what you envisage when you grow up. That's what you want. You want the perfect day.
And how can a wedding planner give a couple or give a bride their perfect day? What does a wedding planner do?
Well, as an experienced, first of all, a wedding planner, as long as you get the right type of wedding planner, they have a lot of experience, they bring a lot of professionalism to it. So first of all, they can save you a lot of money.
How?
Because as a wedding planner, you're in the business. So therefore, I get repeat business to vendors.
Okay.
So they're going to give me discounts, which I pass on then to you. I can plan all the small little details. There's a lot of people that they're not interested in small details. It's not their thing. They're too busy, they're at work, they just don't know. They just don't know how to do anything. They've never even had a dinner party at home. So when you involve a professional, like a professional wedding planner with a lot of experience, that's what you will gain, is all their knowledge, all their experience, right from telling you what glasses to have the day of your wedding, all the way through to the best photographer, the best band, and they're all the recommendations that recommend a wedding planner.
And are you like quality control? For example, if somebody had, if they used you or a wedding planner and they weren't particularly happy with the way things were going with, videographers and photographers, would you be the person that then would kind of sort that problem out?
Well, as a wedding planner in the business, I would recommend the photographers and the makeup artists and the people that I use that I know. Because it's very easy just to go onto a website, look for a photographer, and we can all plagiarize images, and you book the photographer from what you see. And then your photographs are dreadful.
Okay.
So I enlist all those people, and because of my experience, I'm constantly out in the marketplace looking at what's fashionable, what's new, what's in, who's the best. So that's what you get when you employ somebody like me.
In terms of couples getting married abroad, for example, they're probably watching us speaking and thinking, well, getting married abroad is going to save us money, it's going to be hassle-free, you bring smaller groups of people with you, it's much cheaper. But when I met you first, you told me there was some legal stuff that people weren't aware of when it comes to getting married abroad. What are the legal implications of getting married abroad?
Yeah, well, first of all, what you have to remember, if you have a religious ceremony anywhere in the world, that is only recognised as a religious ceremony. It's not legal. So if it's not recognised by the government in the country where you're getting married, then it certainly isn't recognised where you're living yourself. So it's really important when embarking. Yes, it is the best, it can be a cheaper way of getting married. It does get rid of the uncle that you don't want and the auntie that you don't want. So it eliminates a lot of that. So it does come down to a much smaller group of people that are, probably very close family and friends. But it's really important, before you embark on it, you contact the Department of Foreign Affairs, the General Registrar's Office, and you also find out from the embassies of where you're getting married, where it all is legally. And usually, it's better to have a civil registry wedding here and then go and get married on a hill or a beach or in a church or wherever you want.
That probably sounds very strange to people watching this, because they're thinking, well, the whole idea of getting married abroad is that you do everything at the same time, that if you get married on a beach, that it becomes a legally binding civil marriage in that country at that time. So what you're saying is that people in Ireland should get married in Ireland, but then go abroad to have their religious ceremony. Is that what you're saying?
Now, it can be done, but it just does take you an awful lot longer. You've got to have the religious ceremony, like here when we get married within a church. That also has to be recognised by the government. So it has to be recognised legally. And that's where that's where the loophole is. That's where you can fall through. So if you embark on a wedding and you go abroad and you have this wonderful ceremony, but it's not recognized other than the priest or the humanist or the spiritualist or whoever it is that married you, then you come home and you say, we'd like to get married in the civil registry office. Well, now you've got to prove to the Irish government that you actually weren't married. And that can take you up to 2 to 3 years.
Are you serious? 2 to 3 years?
Yeah,
to prove
so
that
if-
you actually weren't married?
Yes, so effectively, it's a much easier route to take. And also, the longer that you have going abroad, you can organise it with Italy and Spain and all the paperwork, but it does take much longer. So it is an area where a lot of people can be caught out.
And have you come
And that
across-
is why it's, particularly when you're planning a wedding abroad, you really, really have to have a wedding planner. You have to have somebody that knows the laws in that country, knows the lie of the land, has lived there, speaks the language, and is involved in it so that you don't get caught.
Are there male wedding planners? I mentioned, you said there, she can tell you. Are there male wedding planners out there too?
Absolutely.
Are they just as good? Or do
Absolutely.
women have a specific eye for detail that men might not have?
No, I think, across all the board. I mean, it really depends. And I think that's the important thing about when you employ a wedding planner, that you must have a connection with them.
Okay, you must like the
So
person?
you must like the
Okay.
person. And also as well, for me, it's very important that I connect with the couple. If I don't connect with the couple, I can't see their vision or their dream or feel their romance or their love. Because it's a very important thing to be involved with somebody's wedding day. It's one of the most important days of their life. So I've got to get on with them because I want to create that dream for them, the dream that they have dreamt at since they've met the love of their life.
And what can people do to reduce the stress that they're feeling as their wedding day approaches? What should we do?
Wait, are these people with or without a wedding planner? Because if you have a wedding planner, you have no stress. You don't have to worry about if the flowers don't turn up or the DJ doesn't turn up because the wedding planner does all of that.
So say for the average person who doesn't think they can afford a wedding planner but is going to try and save money elsewhere, what can they do to manage the stress that they're going to feel as they approach their wedding day?
Well, I think there's lots of ways to manage stress, but one of the things that I would always advocate is I think the best time to spend your money is on your day. The on the day management. If you can get somebody else to come in that just takes over your weddings, that all you have to worry about is looking fabulous and coming up that aisle or that hill or under the tree or wherever your dream is to get married, that you have somebody else to look after it. But to get rid of stress, I think there's lots of things that we can do to get rid of stress. I think the most important thing between a couple as well is to not continuously talk about your wedding. Take some time out if you're planning your wedding yourself. Your husband or your future husband
Sure.
really isn't that interested in whether the flower is going to match the bridesmaids' bows on their shoes. He really just hears a lot of men hear blah, blah, blah. So it's important to just kind of get your folder out and say, we're going to talk about the wedding for 15 or 20 minutes. And I think that's where a lot
Is
of
that
women...
every day or once a week?
It can be once a week.
Okay.
And then obviously running up to the wedding, it might come a little bit
Sure,
more often.
sure.
But I think that's where a lot of couples experience problems, where the girl has just become bridezilla and she's all consumed with her wedding day and she discusses nothing else. And then you've got to think about that girl when the wedding is over. So there's been all this focus for a whole year and then the wedding is over. And a lot of people then can go down into a bit of a low. So it is quite important to keep it in focus.
Colette, one thing that many couples will want to ask you, if they could ask you themselves, is have you any horror stories of things that have just gone horribly wrong for people? Not that you've necessarily worked with, but that you've heard of. So, in other words, pointers that we need to be aware of, that we don't make the same mistakes, but have actually happened to other people. What have you come across?
Well, just this year I had a groom who had read on an airplane, he was coming home from Chicago for his wedding, that if he put his suit in the shower, it would take out the wrinkles.
Oh.
He didn't read the article thoroughly. So the morning of the wedding, I texted him to see that everything was going okay. And he said, no, I'm in big trouble. So I went to his room. I'm allowed to do that as the wedding planner.
Okay, that clarified. Gotcha, good.
His suit was soaking wet. He had left his suit in the shower for 3 hours. So he was wondering, could I drive him to the local town to pick up a new suit? So I just said, don't worry. I got my hairdryer and I blow dried his suit for 45 minutes and then I ironed his shirt and got him on his way.
That's the kind of a job that a wedding planner is really, geared for. That's what you're there for. That kind of saving the day kind of stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think the whole
Okay.
thing that a lot of people associate with wedding planners is that they don't do those small kind of details.
Okay.
We do everything to ensure that the day is as perfect as it can be. His bride didn't know that his suit had been soaking wet. She didn't know that he couldn't find his shirt. I did all that just discreetly. nobody knew any better. You know, it was
Wonderful.
just, yeah.
So you basically saved her from having a meltdown on her wedding day, and he got to look like Prince Charming the way he wanted to look in the first place.
Instead of looking like a big ball of creases in his wetsuit.
Not
yes.
good on your wedding day.
Not really.
Colette, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure your advice has been noted by everybody watching, and I'm sure they find it fascinating.